Hey guys, this week we are doing basically a cheesecake again. And I know I already made Mandarin cheesecake, but you can make this any flavour you want. It's more of the decoration concept for Halloween. I know, it's a bit of a weird one. Maybe you haven't seen my Mandarin cheesecake video, and now you get to see it again. But anyway, basic cheesecake base. I like this recipe because it's all round numbers. You can scale it up, scale it down, whatever you want. So I'm going to be using double what I would normally use for the single recipe. So I'm going to be using 400 grams of biscuits, which you can use whatever flavour biscuits you want. You can use chocolate, you can use something like an Oreo, you can use like ginger snap. I wouldn't necessarily go for something like a rich tea. Right, once you have your crumbled biscuits, you want to add in 200 grams, or basically 100 grams of melted butter per 200 grams of biscuits. I like this nice, simple, easy to scale up recipe. It's kind of eyeball a half. I'm in a rush to kind of get this video because I've got stuff to do, things I want to do. That is definitely not round. But anyone that's not in a rush, I've also just thought, because I am an idiot, because this is a clip top pan, I can just clip parchment to it so I can just slide up. You know what? Scratch all that. We're going to do that option because that sounds way easier. So I don't have to just pan it once. There we go. Right. Let's move that bowl out of the way. So, simple thing to do. Stick that to the bottom. Stick your pan on. Kablamo! Why do people not show you this on the inside? Like, it's a perfectly filled bottom, and then you can just like trim that. I mean, that's far less faff, right? I think I've just accidentally created a hack. Nice. Anyway, accidentally making hacks while panicking in the kitchen. And before I turn this into a short. I do intend on doing more YouTube shorts, by the way. I have a whole winter plan. Right, so why am I trying to put the bowl in the microwave? So we want to put our butter into our biscuits. Now I could have done this in a bowl, that would have made way more sense. But if you've been here long enough, you know sense isn't something that we use on this channel. So I do intend on making a smaller cheesecake. At least one smaller cheesecake. I might make one for myself as well, because trying to be good, trying to watch me wait, so I might just make a little personal cheesecake for myself. Got a bit of a better base on it. Now, as I say, like, the flavouring that I'm going for is Mandarin, but you can use whatever you want. If I thought a little bit more ahead, I was actually going to make a pumpkin spiced one, which would have been more on theme, but obviously in the UK we don't have pumpkin spice mix as readily as like America does, so I'd have had to have made my own, and then I'll have a container of pumpkin spice mix I don't know what to do with. So yeah, that would have been a whole thing. Right, anyway, per serving we want 200 grams of cream cheese, or soft cheese as it's now for some reason called. So yeah, that is 400 grams of cream cheese slash soft cheese. And then to that, you say this is 600 ml. Go on, there it is. It's got the meals hidden in an area where you wouldn't expect the meals to be. So this is 600 ml of double cream, right? Yes. A slight panic as you're pouring it in and you think maybe maybe you picked up single grain. Right, and then this is completely optional. Depends on how sweet your sweet tooth is. If you don't want to add it, you don't have to. But I keep forgetting to pop off. Add 6 tablespoons of icing sugar. That's 2 per recipe you're doing. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I'm going to half that just because last time I made this, it did turn out very sweet. So I would taste it, check it along the way, see how you feel. Only you can prevent over-sweetening your own desserts. So you may be wondering, why haven't I added the mandarins yet? Now that's because this comes to the deciding of your flavour and your patterns. Now I want to do kind of an attempt at a pattern on top. Now there are many different ways we could do this pattern. By many, I can think of at least 2. I know. Hold on. So basically, cheesecake. So I want to do like a spiderweb kind of thing. But what you could do, if you wanted to, is another option. Is like a stencil. So I mean, like, that's a possibility, right? So in my mind, that's not a very round one. There's 2 different ways of doing your spider web. So I would say, like, doing like a pattern like that, but not crap. Like, I told you my drawing skill. There's a reason why I didn't do art in school. That's why I do graphics instead. Which, you know, being replaced by AI, so that's cool. So, like, you divide up your cake, that's cool, and then you, like, do your web like that. So you're manually kind of doing your rings. I was going to do that, and then I forgot what line number that was. So basically, you've got like a web. Or there's the other option where you find the middle of the cheesecake, roughly, and you do your circles. All of those circles are completely different, not circles. And then you get like a knife, and you drag the knife through, which, like, it's like what they do on like some cakes and things, where it kind of like drags the line out. Now I've said about the stencil, I'm just thinking the stencil would be so much easier. But yeah, like, you can do either the lines and then cut it up and do your rings, or you can just do the rings and then put the blade of a knife through. But the problem with doing the blade of the knife, if you've got a chunky filling, like mandarins, you do have the risk of catching a mandarin and dragging that through the cheesecake. So, like, your safer bet's going to be that one, but you're going to have to make sure you've got enough reserved cheesecake. Whereas with doing that, you're just purely pulling the pattern through itself. Or you could just dust it with, like, cocoa and a stencil, which, as I say, now I'm thinking about it, such an easier way of doing it. But I'm an idiot. And I think of ideas on the go. So yeah, if you do have like a spider stencil, by all means. So I've got a piping bag set, which me and piping bags, we have great times. So I think I'm going to try and go for the rings. There is no guarantee on how well this is going to turn out. But a cheesecake is going to be like, even if it looks terrible, you still know it's a cheesecake, right? Well, I mean, that's the hope. So what I've got to do is I've got to work out how much cocoa powder is going to go into this to colour it. Also, I do kind of understand the weird thing of doing like the Spiderweb brown instead of white, because you know Spiderweb's notoriously brown in colour. Add in an amount of mandarins, because last time I made this I put mandarins on top as decoration, whereas this time it's mostly just going to be mandarins inside it. So the idea is then you have fine mandarins that hopefully you're not going to snag on the knife when you do the simple method. Let's give this a little taste. I'd say that could take more mandarins, but that's entirely up to you. I'm going to stick with what I've got here. I mean, I don't want to brag, but so that's not taking me that long. How long have we been recording? That would be a good 32 minutes. Jesus, okay. But once this is all edited and cut down, cut out all the Ammy faff. I mean, just wing it, right? Who cares? It's going to get eaten if it looks good or not. There we go. That looks okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that. Is I? Is I? It's fine. You get the gist, right? So yeah, that's that. I need to tidy up that parchment paper before I put it in the fridge with orange juice everywhere. I've got to try and work out how I'm going to get this to work, because a 40-minute walk to work with this is going to be brutal. Just realised that I might not have been recording audio properly this whole time, in which case I'll be extremely upset, but hey. Right, so I guess that bit down there looks a little bit naff, right? We can just kind of, and then draw a little. I'm glad I took the thumbnail first, let's put it that way. I mean, it's a brown spider. Right, anyway, that wraps up this week's episode. Happy Halloween, everybody. I will see you next week for going into the more wintry side of things, maybe a little bit like meal preppy stuff is what I've been trying to get into. And of course, hopefully, the new short series is going to be starting next week as well. So, I'll see you all again next time. Thanks for watching.